Hey friends, what's going on? Um, let's see. Today we are continuing. Oh god, that's loud. Wow, there's such a big difference between just like 1 and 2. There we go. That should be okay. And I'll turn this up just a little bit. Okay, let's put it there. Hey Red, what's going on? So today we are continuing with the like RAF stretch animation that I'm working on for the Inverse project. I know some of the animators on the Inverse team are going to be popping in today just to, so I'm going to give like a kind of a lowdown on the steps that we're taking in order to get this series done. I'll just do a short recap. Um, so yeah, I'm just going to wait a little bit, see if anyone pops in. I know some people are having trouble getting into the stream earlier. But yeah, how are you doing today, Red? How's everyone? Hey, what's going on? Anyway, um yeah, so I'm just like letting people trickle in, doing the whole how are you doing today kind of thing. Um just kind of I got all of the corrected poses in. I think I'm just missing two on the end, but it's not like super important. Hey friends. Oh, you're all good. Therein, I just set the layer to multiply and the white goes away. So like if I hold down color, you can see it comes back, and then you set it to multiply, and now I just have the line work. Glad to see you made it. Um, yeah, I know YouTube's been like cracking down on ad blockers, but there's still a few that work. I can send those after stream because I'm very like anti-advertisement. Um, oh no, I missed two of them when I was downloading them. It's my fault. But it's like it's just an ease in, so it's not. It's me, not you. um, it's just an ease in, so it's like I don't really need the poses that bad. I'm going to turn the music down just a little bit because I can't hear myself think. There we go. Anyway, so I'm just going to break down the animation process, how I got here, for any of the animators in the chat that are also going to be working on Inverse, and then I will keep going. If at any point the music is too loud or I'm too loud, let me know. I know I still have some like balancing problems, but yeah, so the first thing I did when I started animating is I brought in two views from the turnarounds. I actually brought in three later, but you can see I have the 3/4 here and the side profile here. And I just made lines of like the important details, so you could see like the red lines are my like biggest important points, which I decided personally the top of the head, the chin, the waistline, and around where the knees are, and then where the bottom, where the feet hit the ground. Oh, music's off for you guys. Weird. It says it's on. Maybe that I don't know. We'll see. I'll fix it later. But okay. So yeah. So I brought in the wait, the art style changed a bit from the old references. Oh. Well, hopefully we'll have the new references in time for the cleanup artists, because it's more important for them to have correct references than it is for me. But we do want to make sure that like when we finally go in for like animation, we should have like pretty decent references. Oh good, the music's on now. Great. Guys, I know I'm a streamer. I can do this. I'm so bad at this. I'm still learning. Anyway, so the first step that I did again was to bring in the references and to mark off my important points. This can really help you stay on model, like as you continue through the animation. It's just nice to like set up your proportions, even if the characters are going to be squashing and stretching and moving around. It's a lot better to just have your standard quote-unquote like normal reference off to the side. And so that's what I did. And my sketch is, let's see, if I turn off some of the layers, my original sketch is actually here. So these were my keyframes that I did, and you can see that it's actually a lot different from the final product, but they're super basic and rough. And essentially what I did was just try and get the basic action down in a few key poses. And once I was happy with the timing and like action of that, then I went in and I did keyframes. So my keyframes are, you can see up in the top left-hand corner, I have written a number and circled it. That's a keyframe. So my keyframes right now are this frame, this frame, this frame, and this last frame. It doesn't have a number because I changed it at the very end. And then I added my breakdowns, which are these ones that have the number with the underline in it. So it's this one here. This breaks down these two poses. And then this one also breaks down these two. And my sketch really isn't on model all that much. The proportions are kind of there, but you can definitely tell that Raph is a lot bigger than he needs to, or than he really is. And that's okay, because this is just a sketch. So right now I'm working on what's called tie downs. And tie downs are just like the final pass for a rough animator to get everything on model for the cleanup artists. So the first thing I did was actually get notes from Neliel, who's the director. And so that's what these bigger kind of magenta lines are, is their drawings. So it's just the keyframes for now, but you could see that he went and made corrections, especially to the proportion issues that I made in my first pass. So now in this stream, I'm going to go through and start the tie downs, which is going to help inform the cleanup artists. You can see here that I do have this PNG of Raph's head that I've been copying and pasting and moving around. If you ever see behind the scenes work from The Amazing World of Gumball, this is how they tackled animation, which is usually by making one asset of either the head or the body and copying and pasting it throughout the animation to keep it consistent. I think because for Inverse we're all using different programs, this might be something that the cleanup artists will have to do. But I've done it here just as an example of like what's going to happen. But he doesn't have any facial features, so I think somebody else is going to clean up this scene for practice. So whoever cleans up the scene will have to replace the head that I've used with the head that has his facial features and mask and all that stuff. But otherwise, I'm basically ready for cleanup, or for tie down. So I'm just going to bring down the opacity of these layers. And I actually already started cleanup in the last stream. I just have some corrections to make with the proportion. So for tie downs, obviously I'm not being like super clean, because that's not the purpose of this pass. The purpose of this pass is to just get on model, but we still want it to be fairly clean so that the cleanup artists, like I see Vesper T in chat, will thank you for having a better reference to cleanup, because essentially cleanup is just animating with more information. You're using the tie downs to inform your lines. So yeah, so like I said, I have some corrections to make. A lot of it was just in the size of the hands and arms. So I know one of the notes that we made in the style guide, which I should hopefully be working on soon, is that Raph actually does have wrists. So in my original sketch, I had kind of made his forearms immediately go into his palm, and that's not correct. So I'm going to just adjust that, and then his legs are a little bit off. So again, that's something I'm going to go through and work on. I fully thought that you had done it on purpose. So I completely thought that it was a Nepeta moment. So I'm trying to keep the legs as solid as possible, but every once in a while I'll like draw a curve just to inform myself of the way that the leg is facing. And that likely won't make it to final. So that frame is pretty decent. I just need to adjust his upper leg. So I tie down in the same order that I animate in, which is keyframes first, then in-betweens. So if I remember correctly, this is an in-between, yes. This is a keyframe, so I'm gonna tie down this one as well. And it can be a lot more helpful to also clean up in the same order. Keyframes first, then breakdowns, then in-betweens. Because like I said, cleanup is basically just animating, but with more information. So, I'm also going to be marking things like holds. There are a few frames in the later bit of the animation where it just does not make sense to redraw the legs over and over. So I'm gonna alter this arm a little bit. This is like a kind of a disparity between model accuracy and what works best in animation. So I'm gonna split the difference between my drawing and the correction that was made, just because we really need this shoulder to move up before the rest of the body. Yeah. And then there's a similar thing that's going to happen with this leg as well. So I'll move the upper thigh, but the bottom of the foot's going to have to stay where it was since it's rooted and I don't want it to slide around. But I will make the adjustment to this shell socket here. So another keyframe is here. I think I just have a correction with how big I've made his torso, as well as, let's see, was the arm correct? About, it's just some shapes that I need to adjust. I wasn't thinking of a yawn. I was just thinking of like a squash in the face. If I had done it, but I mean, whoever cleans this up can I guess can decide. There might be enough frames for a yawn, but I just kind of imagined his face more like this. Kind of squashed down. But there might be enough frames for a yawn if the cleanup artist wants to do one. So here, and then this is kind of the most extreme pose, so I'll just have him really stretching out like that. Let's see, there's no corrections on that. I think I have some corrections on the shape of the upper leg should be a diamond according to the style guide. So I'm just going to make sure that his upper thigh area matches that. Same with this one. And his shell is way too big. So like I said, we'll have like a proper style guide up and running for the actual production. Right now I'm just kind of going off of what I remember from different like correction meetings and whatnot. And another thing is that his the fingers should be probably a lot more angular than I had them at first. So you can see his shell disappears here because I just forgot to draw it. Let's see. This shell is correct. Okay. It's a lot of like checking your previous drawings and making sure that you're still on the right track. So this is another one of my corrected frames, and this one is called an overshoot. So I want to settle in this pose, but in order to make a snappy animation, I overshot it. So he's gonna land on the ground here, and his leg is going to be like way stretched out. This front leg too. Will really kind of stretch forward, and then the same with this back leg. This arm is going to overshoot its like final position. His head and neck are a little awkward here, and I might move them back just a little bit. But sometimes you have to prioritize an arc over anatomical correctness, especially this frame is going to go by very quickly. And so it's entirely possible that when played at full speed, this frame will look correct, and then it's just like in pausing it and looking at it, then you go, that neck is off. But his head is traveling in an arc, and we have to prioritize that over the body. Because in this frame, it's correct. So occasionally, I'll go back and see if this frame needs to be altered, but for now, I'm going to keep it as is. This arm, however, is delayed. So it just adds a little bit of texture to animation if we delay some parts of the body. So this arm and the head are going to have their overshoot in the next frame. Oh, I completely forgot. Yeah, so I am making his fingers a bit too thin, I think. Again, this is something that we'll have like a proper guide on. And so then this frame is the overshoot, excuse me, for the right arm and head. Hi Tune-Up! How are you doing? Things are going good over here. I'm just making some corrections to my keyframes from last time, and then I'll be working on in-betweening my tie-downs. So the body is gonna kind of like continue the motion because the legs and arm is what overshot last time, and then the body and head and this other arm is now going to overshoot. So we're gonna follow through with these. And then using my drawing from the last frame, I'm gonna start to bring the leg back. I also... Yeah, I think I need those other 2 frames, so let me just grab them really quick. Up, 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 up. Discord, please. There we go. It's just these last 2 frames I completely forgot to download for some reason. So that's cool. Cool. Okay. Let's see. Hopefully I can add them here. If not, I'll just make a new layer. Okay, now I should have the right drawings. Oh, so I was close. There we go. No. I think my style, like, I don't really have one. I mean, I do, but I don't. You know? Because most of what I do is just like drawing in other people's styles. And so I just kind of like chimera a bunch of stuff together. So I'm basically going to reverse this frame because it calls for a thicker leg, but if I made this edge here thicker, it would, the animation would jump. So instead I'm going to make that diamond shape here on the inside of the leg and keep the kind of flat line of action that I have going from the other frames. Oh wait, he only has 2 fingers. So this is another like corrective drawing area where I'm using my original sketch and the correction. So his forearm is a little bit too big here. So I'm just gonna make that correction. And same here. Most of my like drawings are fairly on model, and again that was helped a lot by adding the turnarounds in the beginning. It is worth noting that I started with the wrong turnaround. We had an updated one that I was not using. But for the final animations, we will have like final turnarounds so that we can be using the correct proportions. So now I'm just going to go through and correct my in-betweens, or my breakdowns, sorry. So the head's a little off, and I can go back and correct it later, but also, like I said, it will kind of be up to the cleanup artist as well to go through and copy and paste the head, the final, you know, asset that we have. So this is an example of me not paying attention to the style in the first place. So sometimes we're gonna have to make a few corrections, and then sometimes we split the difference. So because he's starting to put his weight onto his feet a lot more, especially on the front of his feet, I'm gonna kind of push out this foot this way. It's like a squash and stretch example. I'm also going to exaggerate the curve of the shell socket, because his shell can't bend like this, like I had in my first drawing. It's just not anatomically possible. So instead what we'll do is just kind of collapse the body, and you just kind of rotate it like this. And then make sure the knees do most of the work. So in fact, since this is the breakdown, yes, or no, this is a keyframe. Since this is a keyframe, I'm just going to move his body down like this. And then this arm will come up. So really exaggerating, I'm actually going to probably just go ahead and bend his knees a lot more. Really exaggerate the knee bend. Which is fine because this is a keyframe. So it doesn't really affect the rest of the animation because this is the frame that's going to inform the ones around it. And that's kind of why tying down and cleaning up in the same order that you animate can be really helpful. Because if you have to make a change like this, then it doesn't screw up all of the other drawings you've done. Because this is the one that's going to inform the rest of the animation. I actually am probably going to just move his torso down a lot more. Since it's no longer bending, and then his head will come with it when I find that layer. So his head's going to be more like this. Which is fine because again, this is like the arc ends here and then starts again here. So there might just need to be a delay on this frame. But that's gonna help him look like he is bending down a lot more since the shell can't bend in half. And the same with this leg. I am going to bend it a lot more. It's a little extreme because he isn't jumping, he's just technically rolling onto his toes. But, it's compensating for the fact that his shell can't bend in half. Apart from rough kind of clean weapon. So I don't know how animators are going to be assigned per episode. That would be a question for the director. But let's see. So amount of work, so standard and amount of work provided, I don't know if I can like answer for the amount, but I know that we do have a few standards for like technical aspects like frame rate and like how close you are to the model. I think if I remember correctly, we're gonna assign the scenes based on strengths. So like there are some people whose portfolios are like really strong in like fast quick action, so like those are the scenes that they're gonna get. Or some people are really strong in like TV style dialogue, but further than that I'm not too sure. It's not like my area to assign scenes. But yeah, so sorry, I'm not the person who can answer that question, unfortunately. Another thing you'll probably see me do a lot is this like scrubbing back and forth. A lot of animators will do it even if they work digitally. I do it because I learned on paper, and so I'm used to flipping. But hey, Anon. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, you'll get the scenes based on your like strengths, I guess. I'm not, yeah, I'm not completely in the know about how scenes are being assigned, because I think we're still working on the business. Well, I say we, but like the business plan is still being worked on. But yeah. Shot, yes. Yeah, so oh my gosh, so it depends, but it's like oh my gosh, what is it? It's shot is every time the camera changes. I think it's like the hierarchy is like sequence, scene, and shot. So like the sequence is a bigger portion, and then the scene So, oh, wait. No, 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 yeah, no, no. So a sequence is like a whole completed unit. A scene is every time a location changes, and that's not necessarily breaking the unit, right? Because you can go from indoors to outdoors within the same scene, and then a shot, or within the same sequence, and then a shot is every time the camera view changes. I think that's the hierarchy. But scene and shot tend to be used interchangeably, even though that's not technically true. I had to like remember that for myself because I tend to use scene and shot interchangeably, which is wrong. So yeah, we'll be assigned different shots depending on our strengths and weaknesses. So I do kind of want to like favor my previous drawing a little bit more here. I don't like how quickly his feet come off the ground. I think I need just like a... Oh, I do have a very quick in between. I keep forgetting that these are just like keys. You're all good. Yeah, as long as we could see the movement, I think, because like we are counting rough animation and cleanup as two separate jobs. So as long as you weren't wanting to be a cleanup artist, having a mostly unfinished pieces in your portfolio is all good. So I keep scrubbing back and forth just to see the action and the motion. Because I think it's time to do the rest. So I'm gonna mark my frames again, just for the cleanup artists in case they don't get the sketch. Oh, that's a keyframe. So breakdowns are underlined, keyframes are circled. This is just one I think I did for God knows what reason. These are actually on the wrong frames. I have since changed the timing, so I probably should have been paying attention to that. See, this is now 37. This is now 46. This is an overshoot, which is an extreme. So technically, extremes sometimes get marked the same way as breakdowns. I like to double line it. Because if we're being like semantic, that's what it is. then this is technically the breakdown, which is 54. And then the final keyframe is on 60. So next is pretty much just the in-betweens, and these can be done in almost excuse me. I like to do my in-betweens your in-betweens are done based off of the timing chart, right? So, oh, thank you so much. I try and keep it like chill and work along, but today I'm talking a little bit more because I'm just going through the process. But yeah. So usually when you have your keyframes and breakdowns, you'll get something called a timing chart. I didn't do one because I thought that I was just going to do this animation. But since there's going to be a cleanup artist, I'll just go through like how you construct a timing chart and how it looks. So here my three like frames are 1, 11, and 17. So 17 is the other key, 11 is the breakdown. So I'll just over here, usually you do it attached to this, but it's so close to the edge that I'm going to move it out. So 1's up at the top, and let's see, 17 is the other keyframe over here. Usually you do them up and down. I think for the sake of understanding, I will do it horizontally. So you have 17 here, and then 11 is our breakdown. So a breakdown is a drawing that goes in between your two keyframes. It is not necessarily like the middle frame, because the middle of 1 and 17 is more like 9. This is on 11. But it is the middle drawing, so this drawing is like almost completely in the middle of these two. It's favoring 1 a little bit, but it is pretty much the middle drawing. So visually it goes in the middle, here at 11. And so the frames from 11 to 1 are working out of 1, so this is called a slow out, or an ease out. So we're easing out of 1 very slowly, which means the drawing next to 1 or 3 needs to be the middle, right? Oh wait, hold on. Ease-ins and ease-outs are something that I always have trouble explaining. So we want all of the drawings to be closer to 1, right? Because the more drawings you have near a pose, the slower the action. Mostly, let's see, my sketch was on 6s and 4s, so we really only have 1 drawing to work with, and it's here. So this is going to be the middle, like, drawing between these two poses, between our two breakdown poses, but because we want to favor 1, right, we want to have a lot more time to look at this first pose, and it looks like we're slowly leaving it. Our in-between is actually going to be here on 7. So 7 is going to be the middle drawing between 1 and 11. And if we were doing like movie quality animation, like on 2s instead of on 4s and 6s, then this middle drawing would probably be 9, and then you would break it down by 7, by 5, and then 3. So you have like a really smooth ease out. But again, we're just doing TV animation. So this can be 7, and then we're just holding for 6 over here and 4 over here. I don't know if that like makes sense. It takes a while to like understand that. It took me forever to understand that, to be fair. So, the other thing I'll do is, since I have, like, some really good information from my previous sketch, I'm honestly going to just take the body again. So just erasing the arms, basically. Actually, I'm gonna keep the arm socket. And this is something that the cleanup artist can do as well, is just keep your previous drawing and, like, move it a little bit. So the next frame is probably somewhere around here. And I'm just going to warp it a little bit so that the shoulders are moving ahead of the torso, or ahead of the, like, lower torso. And the legs are something that I will redraw because they are moving quite a bit, but I am going to keep the feet. And so what I'll do is I'll draw in the upper thigh. And then with the warp tool, I'm going to just move the connecting bits of the feet and then connect them. So ideally, the bottom of the foot shouldn't rotate. It's just like an issue with TV paint. But now you have a really clean motion. And so I'll do the same with this leg. Oh, you're all good. I can go over it again if you want, because I'm about to do, like, we have a few more timing areas to go over. So let me just get some of the arm motion in on this frame, and then I can talk about the timing chart for the, like, next bit. For this one, I need this SketchUp. Oh, okay. I didn't give myself any information. So, since I didn't give myself any information, it's a little bit sketchier, but essentially what I'm doing is I'm just delaying the hand a little bit. So I have another timing chart bit of information here. So if I look at my original sketch, let's see, we're just on 4 and 2 here. So back to our timing chart, right? We have 1 and 17. These are our 2 keyframes. And then 11 is the breakdown. So the breakdowns, again, are the middle drawing, not the middle frame necessarily. So technically, the difference, if, you know, you were to divide, the half number between 11 and 17 is like 14, I think. Because then it's 3 here and 3 here. But in order to, like, have the most kind of, like, I guess, bang for your buck, like the most visual information, especially in television animation or, like, limited animation, we want to favor one side over the other. So we want to favor 17 because we are slowing out of this we are slowing in to this pose. So 17 again is our crouched pose. We want him to settle into this pose but also give us enough time to read it. So we're going to favor it by placing our in-between at 15 instead of like directly in the middle. So let's see. This is 15. And so then on our timing chart, middle 15. Again, if this was like full on like cinematic animation, we would probably place our, the middle drawing would be at 15. We probably would have like a lot more time in here to slow into it a lot. But 15's good for now. Because we do have... Yeah, so it's going to be 4 and 2. So here on 15, just erase that. I actually think I forgot to erase it over here as well. So there are some things we can still take from this drawing. I think we could take the torso again. There are some parts of it I might have to redraw. Obviously the legs are very different. I'm gonna keep the feet. Because I don't want them to boil, or which is like when you redraw a frame a lot in animation that's really close to itself and the lines kind of bubble. So I'm just gonna keep the feet because I don't want them to boil. I'm still learning how to animate, so I'm not like super comfortable making full-on tutorials, but I have like taught summer classes before. But thank you, I do appreciate that. So, okay. We spent a lot of time adjusting, or I spent a lot of time adjusting 17, but I actually think that it needs to be more like this. So here, yeah, now that makes sense. And it's actually funny because you can hardly tell that I've just copied the same drawing. I still have a lot to learn. I mean, like, yeah, I have a degree and everything, but like I never stop learning. I'm still technically learning how to do television animation because I came from a cinematic background. So, but like, I know the principles, it's just executing it, I think. So here on the feet, I just want the connecting bits to move. The feet are gonna wiggle a little bit, but hopefully, what I can do actually is take a red line like this and write hold, or let's go this way. Oops. So this is me just telling either myself or like the cleanup artist that I want the feet to be held pretty much, because they kind of wiggle around as I've been like redrawing them. But essentially what we're doing is keeping the feet and then just tweening the ankles so that they follow the rest of the legs. Oh yeah, no, I did actually graduate. But I'm still gaining experience if we want to put it that way. I feel like I learn new things every day, honestly. Again, so this is the middle frame, so I'm just kind of like flipping back and forth, making sure that everything works. So here, I didn't really get that diamond shape in his upper thigh. I didn't really get it here either. And here the diamond shape is a little bit too low, so it really should be up here. So I'm just flipping back and forth, making sure that the you know, shapes work. I will alter them when they don't. Hello! But mostly this is the just kind of middle of the road drawing. There's also something you can do, TV Paint has it, so does Toon Boom. It's a lot more helpful for like the torso, so like here, these two torsos are very different. And it's going to be very strange if I don't make some kind of adjustment to this torso. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the next frame, and I'm going to adjust the I'm going to adjust it so that it pretty much lines up with this frame. In Toon Boom, I believe this is called the Shift and Trace tool. It's basically just like the same thing as when I was using paper, when we used to just straight up rotate our drawings. Like the physical sheet of paper. And so I'm just going to manipulate this frame, and then use the information for the next frame to get the shell. I'm also going to use it for the arms. And then if I just hit the X, it'll go back to where it's supposed to be. So I can already tell you that this hand and forearm is a little bit too big. Yeah, and so we can hardly tell that all I did was literally just copy those two drawings. So if I play it, we can see it looks a little slow. So if we wanted, we could add more in-betweens to like speed it up a little bit or just change some timing. So maybe I'll make this a 3. Might even make this, reverse this so that it's 2 and 4. But that kind of looks like he's preparing to jump, so maybe my original timing was okay. Yeah. This hand is also too small. My style had, like, my personal style uses very big hands, so I have to constantly go back and, like, correct things when needed. This is TV Paint. I don't recommend it. I do, but I don't. It's more for, like, full-on cinematic animation than it is for television animation. It doesn't have any vector tools, which is why, like, cleanup should be done in a different program. This hand is way too big. I just personally like this program because, like, again, I came from a cinematic background, but they don't make cinematic, like, animation anymore, so, yeah. Or, well, I take that back. They don't make hand-drawn 2D cinematic anymore, really. I mean, there was the Rise movie, but it was, that was done in Toon Boom too. Cinematic animation is done, so they're both done at 24 frames per second, but the cinematic is usually on what's called 1s and 2s, and TV is usually on 4s and 6s and only uses 1s and 2s for, like, fast motion. TV also utilizes holds, so you could see a big difference in the dialogue, where a lot of times it's just the character's jaw that's moving, between mouth shapes, you know? And a lot of times their body will be held, and there's tricks to get it to not look dead. Like, Rise is very good at it. Rise and Gumball are very good at it. Whereas in cinematic animation, you're pretty much constantly moving the character. Like, you're really not holding anything unless the character is sitting down or laying down. And again, it's mostly on 2s and 1s. Not held. The pencil tool in TV Paint is so good. It, like, I think the reason why I still use it is because of the pencil tool. The fill tool is also very easy, but Toon Boom is definitely better for cleanup. This hand is way too small. Yeah, unfortunately, because TV Paint is not meant for vector animation, like, you could see this hand got really fuzzy when I resized it. Which is why I don't really recommend it. Thank you. Honestly, I do really love it, but it's I would not recommend it if you want to go into TV. Even though it's called TV paint, you know? Yeah, okay, so this is another in between. Yeah, so this is like the fully animated sketch down here, and you can see it's mostly on 6, 4, there's a few 2s for this fast action here, but for the most part we're holding. And then this area with a bunch of 2s at the end, well here there's a bunch of 2s but we're holding the legs, here there's a bunch of 2s but we're holding the feet. So yeah, there is a difference. Boom, boom. Krita is so good though. Like, I love the tools that it has. Okay, so I'm gonna turn this down because I need to see my sketch. Oh, okay. So this is kind of a moment where my original sketch is kind of far from what my keyframes or breakdowns are telling me. So I'm going to straight on, or like full on ignore my original sketch. And so this is what I was saying, that like cleanup is basic, or tie down and cleanup is basically just animating again, but with more information. Is it Krita? Yeah, I have no idea. I've never heard it said. I just guessed, honestly. So I want to slow, let's see. So we're not really slowing anymore because this is, no, we are, because we're leaving this pose pretty slowly. I don't want to like rocket into this pose because this is not an in-between. So instead I want to favor this pose. So I'm gonna put the hand here. Yeah. So again, more... I want to keep this arc, and so... Like I have in my sketch, I have a really nice arc in the hand, and I'm kind of losing it with this pose as well. So what I'm gonna do is just kind of bring the elbow up. I'm gonna bring the hand down and bring the elbow up, because I don't want to lose that arc. It's very important. If you can get really good at keeping arcs in animation, you're like golden. So... even this frame... So his arm and forearm actually get a lot bigger here. Oops, wrong tool. So I'm going to adjust the volume. And probably curve the arm downward a little bit. In fact, I might use the warp tool to just go in and so I wasn't paying attention to the correction. There we go. Oh yeah, sorry. I've been like so lost in the sauce. Here's what it looks like so far. You can see my sketch is fully animated, but my tie downs are not. There's a pretty big jump here. Thank you. It's coming along. I think you could probably use, I'm like debating on whether or not to put it in, because I think an anticipation here would be really nice. anticipations, for those of you who don't know, is like before you do an action, you kind of anticipate that action. So like a lot of people, you can think of it like when you throw a ball, it's like the wind up. I think that this animation would really benefit from an antic back. So if just before he leaned forward, he just like tilted back a little bit, but I don't know if that's like too cinematic for this animation. But maybe what I could do is just right here, just on the frame before the breakdown, or maybe 2 frames before, we'll see. I'm going to take my perspective tool and I'm just going to warp him back and up ever so slightly. And so his head will do the same. Just to see. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. So it's so quick that it does not, this should not be a 2, or this should not be on 1s, this should be on 2s. So if I'm going to antic him back, actually what I should do is get rid of this. First of all, actually, better idea is just go like that. So I'm not even redrawing this frame. I'm literally just warping it. I don't know. If I was going to do this, I think he needs to just come up just a little bit. I don't think I have enough frames to do a proper anticipation. Yeah, it's just going to look really stuttery. But yeah, so I mean that's another difference between TV and cinematic is possibly more anticipation. You would draw back just a little bit and then move forward, but it's fine the way it is. It's just like that extra mile if you wanted to go there. Let me see. So I'm moving towards this frame, so I'm slowing in, which means I need to be working from 27 onward. So now I'm working it's not entirely, I mean, it is kind of straight ahead, because I'm going to close the gap each time. I also have this note here from my sketch to hold the legs. And so essentially what I'm going to do is just delete the body. Actually, I should keep this lower bit. And so what I will do is I'm going to use the perspective tool to just warp the legs a little bit into place. But there's no sense in redrawing them because it's going to be such a tight in-between. And so when you're cleaning up a scene like this, there will be a point at which the legs don't move, and all you're gonna do is like perspective warp the, like, probably this area that connects the two. This drawing needs to be adjusted a little bit. So what I should have actually done is taken these legs, because this is like the final position I want to hold in. And I'm going to delete this and just perspective warp the legs from here. Oh, and I want to delete this too. So I'm just going to warp them ever so slightly. And one thing I will do is redraw this line, because otherwise it's going to pop into place. And now I can go about just dropping in the rest of the body. Honestly, for a cleanup, the torso might also just be tweened. Oh, chat just updated. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it'll be fine for a test. It's just like me being not normal animation, because it's like my whole thing. But it's not having that anticipation is completely fine for a test, and also, like I said, I don't have enough frames for an anticipation there. So it's not, you know, I would rather skip the anticipation than rush an anticipation, because then it's just gonna look cheap. So I don't really have like a thought ended, apparently. That was the end of that thought, but I was gonna say I don't really have a frame with his hand opening. And so one of the things we can do to like help convey motion, or like kind of fake motion here, is I'm going to delay the opening of the hand. So I'll just call this the pinky finger, since it's the last finger. This finger's going to stretch out last. So for our next frame, essentially, I'm going to remove everything up here. And just perspective warp the legs and torso into place. these actually don't move pretty much at all. That's my dog. So yeah, again, one of my biggest problems with TV Paint is that there's no like vector stuff, so these lines are gonna get real fuzzy as I keep adjusting them, unfortunately. To the point where I actually think I'm just going to redraw them. But if you're doing cleanup, just warp those. There's no sense in redrawing them, it's just gonna boil. So I'm gonna, again, fake the motion here by, let's see. By putting that thumb almost into place. Getting the finger. And then, keeping the, like, pseudo pinky finger still almost bent until about here. And then this one's gonna be tricky because it's technically like rotating in the Z space. But essentially my hope was that this arm is going to distract you from any odd movement in this arm, and also it will be hidden mostly by his head. So the head motion is a little odd, and I'm gonna go back and fix it. This is almost done, so this is a 3. Ooh, so same thing, I'm just going to grab probably that much, delete it, and then perspective warp the legs just a slight bit. Honestly, they probably barely even need to be warped. You could probably just hold the legs and then just skew the torso, honestly, during cleanup. They probably don't even need to move, just like this upper bit needs to just stretch just a little bit. Sure. I'm gonna try and finish because I think I'm almost done. Yeah, I probably only have like 1, 2, 3, 4 more drawings, 5 more drawings, and they're mostly tweens. Or like, they're mostly holds. So I will probably finish today. How long have I been streaming? I'm almost streaming for 2 hours. So I'm gonna cut the stream at 2 hours, but I'm going to finish this. But yeah. Because I don't have that many more drawings left to do. So now this pinky finger's finally like kind of gotten into place. For sure. Yeah, I think just like well, I mean, I'm gonna adjust the head a little bit more, but it'll be the cleanup artist that like puts the final face on there once you get the final like facial feature asset done. Because after I finish this, I'm gonna start working on the style guide a lot more. So, oh, okay. So I do have some volume issues here. And basically what happened is his arm socket got a lot bigger as time went on. So that's also something that like you'll need to watch out for when animating, is like sometimes when you're using previously drawn keyframes, you just don't pay attention, like I just did, to the proportions. So what I should have been doing is redrawing the arm socket. But instead, because the arm socket's going to move up as the body moves up as well. So it got like way too big here. And here as well. So this is something that I'm gonna have to go back and correct before the cleanup artist has it. And I think what happened is, so what I should have been doing is adjusting, sorry, my family group chat's popping off. What I should have been doing is adjusting the curve of the leg socket, so it should have started out like this and then got more and more open, and instead what I did is I raised it. So that's incorrect. And then yeah, so his rounded upper chest portion should line up with the socket, which now in this drawing it does. But that's on me. So again, part of my issue is here. What I should have done is opened the socket this way. So we're going to be seeing more like this is the raised bit. And instead what I was doing is I was raising it like this. So that's something to watch out for. In your drawings. Yeah. So basically what I'm just gonna do is go back and correct. So as his legs stretch, what I actually should have been doing was just making this more and more rounded versus this frame. And this frame. So it raises a little bit here as well. And so this is what I was talking about when I say boiling. It's kind of very obvious that I have had to go back and redraw this socket. Hopefully it's enough information that the cleanup artist knows not to do that. Actually, I think if I remember correctly, yeah. So as long as I get one good correct drawing and the cleanup artist can just copy and paste. So yeah, we've got a little bit of boiling, but for the most part, the leg is okay now. And then again, I have that note to hold. So hopefully this drawing is the correct one, and this is the one that will keep going throughout the scene. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's Vespertine that's gonna clean this scene up. So I'm gonna make this drawing like really clear. This is the hold. So this is these two are the correct ones. So hold previous. And I'll mark it with a red line. Because it's about here that you start holding. And if you get to the cleanup on this part and you're like, what was I supposed to hold? Please feel free to message me. You will never bother me. But yeah, it's this drawing that's correct technically. With turning. Ooh, yeah. Like yeah, like a full body turn. That would be a good one. Let's see. I was thinking Mikey might be the best to do a full body turn. Maybe Donnie, because tail. We'll see. I want one of them to do like a jumping test, so I had like one of them jumping up on a box, but I don't know which one of them would be best for that test. Why do I move the head? This is not... is it? Oh, I have like a whole extra movement here. Oh. Yeah, turn. Yeah, Donnie for the turn. So it'll be like I think he should just be facing one way. We could do a take. So like he hears a sound and needs to turn around and see what it is. I think that would be really good for him. And then Donnie or Mikey, so the box, like it's literally just like a box, and then they jump on top of it and then stick the landing or fall off of it. I think originally I had Leo for that, but then I changed it to the Leo walk. It's just little tests to like see how they move. No, I think you're right. I think Mikey should do the jump because of the scarf. Okay, so here's my next drawing. Oh, I shouldn't have gotten rid of that because I can use it. I did like 3 Leo walks because I was like each one got better and better. I think I had one tied down. If I find it, I can send it to you. Because I'm pretty sure I tied one of the Leo walks down, but I can't remember. So as he is exiting this pose, the body is gonna kind of move ahead with, or the legs will move first, and the chest and upper shoulders will follow behind. So I'm just going to kind of warp the chest a little bit. And then I'm still cleaning up the Leo dialogue scene. It's just my brain has not been focused on cleanup yet. So the hip will rotate inward, and then we'll see the top of the thigh. I think this one I should just redraw. This upper arm is pretty much going to stay the same. In fact, when you're cleaning it up, you might as well just copy the previous drawing and move it a little bit. It's not going to be that different. This one is going to change though. So the oh my gosh. I'm really happy with the I think like I said, I think I did 3 Leo walks just to like get used to her design. Okay, this arm's moving. And I think it was the third one that I was really happy with. So when I find the third one, I will send it your way. Okay, it's looking okay so far. I'm liking it. I'm liking it. I was a little scared, not gonna lie. Okay. So, since we're moving towards this one and actually kind of like falling into it, so this time we are slowing out of this pose. I'm actually going to start here on 50. Because this is the most drastic between the two in-betweens. And then I'll move from there. So his hand's way too big. And there was a little foreshortening on this hand, so it's not fully the right size. And this is going into, so actually what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna nab this torso from the reference. And just bring it over. There's absolutely no shame in just like full on tracing your reference. Because that's the point of tie downs and cleanup, is to just be as correct as possible. So his neck is a little stretched out here because his head is not following the same motion as his body. So like on the style guide and here on the turnaround, you can note that like his head pretty much sits, he's like slouching a little bit. So his shoulders come up pretty high, and his neck is barely visible. But in this frame specifically, his head is dragging behind his body, and so we are going to see a little bit more of his neck than usual to get that arc. So this is one of the times in which actually having like a slouched character is going to like provide a lot more interesting shapes for what's called drag and follow through. Oh, I was fully, so I like draw with the envelope method, which is like when I'm trying to figure something out, I do it very angular. But if you like that, then that's fully something that we can keep. So yeah, so his head and right arm are going to be trailing behind the body. It's, again, drag and follow through works on clothing, but it also works for body parts. You can get a lot of like really good texture by just delaying some things. So I'm going to, this leg is going to be like really bunched up. So I want to put the toe in place of where it's eventually going to land, not, because this is the overshoot, so the toe is like kind of flattened in it's a squash, so the toe is very squashed. So I'm going to place the toe on this frame where it will eventually end up, and then still keep the heel off the ground, and really bunch up the upper thigh, because again, we're kind of squashing here. So same with this one. That upper thigh is really bunched up. His foot is completely flat on the ground because we want to slide it. Okay, so now we can add this in between because we have a lot more information. And again, I'm just going to grab the reference for the torso. It kind of does, actually, you're right. He's just a little guy. I cannot wait to animate Splinter. Okay, so this is the time where looking at my lines is not going to be very helpful. Because I have some pretty, like, the shapes themselves kind of change and alter with that squash. So a lot of scrubbing here to make sure that this shape does what it needs to do. Oh my god, it's so funny because, like, as an animator, every once in a while I'm like, I have the power to do that. I have the power to make my own characters gritty. Okay, why have I done this? Okay, so in order to kind of transition from the hand being palm out to back of hand out, what I'm doing is I'm rotating the hand in Z space like this. And again, we're seeing a lot more of his neck because his head is really dragging behind his body. So this works a little bit, but I actually just need to warp this hand just a little bit. Its perspective is a bit off. Because what I want to do is make that arc. And another thing I can do is just kind of so this hand in particular can also be warped just a little bit. So it looks a little awkward because the hand is moving up to move down. So I'm going to also kind of rotate this and move it down. And then this hand can move up again. The other thing I can do if it's still really awkward, which it looks a lot better, this one, this is where I would say, like, let's use a little bit of a smear. And maybe just drag the hand behind a little bit more. I'm pretty happy with that. The other thing I can just do is add a little bit of a smear here too. So I'm gonna write smear. Just so that the cleanup artists, or just so that you know it's not like a drawing mistake. Like I'm doing this on purpose. So the legs kind of boil a little bit, and I think it's just because, yeah, of this. So what I actually want to do is move this mass up here. So the mass of his thigh is up like this, and I almost want to give an indication of the knee here. Okay, that looks a little bit better. And then let's see, how many frames do I have left to draw? Oh, I'm missing am I missing a smear? Oh, okay, so what I am missing, and this is great because we have I've been like lamenting over this hand here, is here's a 1. But the only difference between it and the previous frame is the leg is starting to move before the body. And so in order to get that without making it look too much like I just moved a leg, which I did, is I can finally redraw that hand to get a better motion. So I'll keep the smear, but what I'll end up doing is so his hand's already in a fist. And just add a little bit of a smear there. So it's on a 1. It's a very quick action. So if we play it through, you can't even see the smear, but you know it's there, which is the whole point. Awesome. Okay. And then let's see, how many frames? I think I have like 2 left. That's great. So we did kind of talk about here. So this head is a little bit too high. Because his head, again, like drags down with the body. So I'm just gonna move and rotate his head. Yes, yeah, I think Splinter will need a walk and run as well. Does he run on... does he run quadruped or does he run bipedal? So my correction layer's a little bit too dark. Okay, so this is what I'm working towards. I think I redraw the body. I think I keep the feet. Oh, well, maybe not this foot, but I think I keep the front foot. Maybe not the toe. But the heel definitely. Runs bipedal, got it. Yeah, my favorite thing is like in Kung Fu Panda, how all the characters, well, except for Po, like they walk biped and then they run quadruped. It's like one of my favorite things in the world. But yeah, no, I can understand making him run biped as well. I have some characters with some difficult legs, so I'm pretty confident in doing a walk run for Splinter. I think just because I've been guessing and it would make it easier later on, just a hand chart of open and closed hands for the turtles would probably be helpful because I've just been guessing what it looks like. Fair enough. Right. Yeah, I think because he was previously human, it would probably be better to just keep him biped running and walking. But like I said, I have some characters with difficult legs. Like his, well, I say difficult, I mean digitigrade legs. So I feel confident in trying to figure out his walks and runs. I love his design so far. Okay, so I've neglected the shoulders here. I think I can keep this. I think his shoulders need to be raised in this frame, honestly. So, best way to do it is just one big line. And there's the definition. His socket. I'm going to set this to 2. This should be halfway. Okay. The heel should stay pretty much grounded here. Because it's just the toe that's squashing on the front leg. So I'm gonna make a note to ground heel. Oh my god, is it really? Well, I'm finished, so yeah, I'm pretty much done, I think, with the tie downs. The only thing that isn't there is the facial features, but we have an asset for that. There's like a few like weird bits, and I think that's just that area that I said like I accidentally screwed up on. Boom, 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 boom. I think the knee gets a little bit awkward. It kind of just like appears. Hold on. It's like here. Okay, so I just like didn't pay attention to my sketch, which is the problem. Okay, I think when he bends his knee, that diamond shape should get a little bit softer, because otherwise it just looks like the knee moves from the upper thigh to the knee. So I think I'm just gonna go through and soften this out a little bit. And just add a little bit more definition at the bottom of the foot. I know it's supposed to be like a tree trunk, but I think we just need a slight more definition. And I'm just gonna soften this up a little bit. I think here as well. I think that looks a lot better. Okay. I'm going to hide some of my sketch layers because I think it's getting a little intense with the amount of things on screen right now. I think on that one frame where his leg moves on the one, I'm going to add a smear. Because I think it's just like way too awkward. So... And then I have to move something else because otherwise it just looks like way too copy and pasted. So I'm just going to like warp transform the arm like this. Yeah, okay, that looks a lot better. Oh yeah, the shell is completely missing under the arm as it moves down. Completely forgot about that. Okay, let me add that in. So here, we just completely abandon it. This is a little bit of an awkward pose. It's like one of those things that works in continuity, but then not by itself. So let's add this back in, because if I remember correctly... Okay, and then he's gonna lean forward, so this arm socket should move forward. I'm gonna keep this area anchored. Keep that shell. His arm. And then again here. Keeping the socket. Should line up with this upper portion, so it's a little big here. And let's see. Actually, it should have moved back. Let me see, where did... Okay, on this frame here... It's on 10. His shell's way too big. It's more like that, according to the correction sketch. So let's move backwards from there. He's rotating this way. So we're gonna see more of it. We should see a lot more of his shell, actually. It should be like this. Yeah, because he's rotating this way as the scene goes on. Maybe it's a little too much. Yeah, it's too much. feel like his arm gets stuck here. I think this can move, actually. And so can this one. Yeah, that's a lot better. Okay, I think I'm done with the tie downs. So obviously next step we'll go to, oh no, I have to do the oh no, okay. So yeah, so tie downs are pretty much done. I'm just gonna fill in the rest of my timing charts for Vespertine. For cleanup, just because it'll make a little bit more sense, I think. And then, yeah, so this scene is out of my hands. I won't be streaming on Monday. My family does celebrate Christmas. I know not everyone else does, but I personally won't be streaming on Monday. Tuesday maybe. I will probably be doing either. I'm gonna finish. Either I'm gonna finish the Leo cleanup, or I'm going to start working on somebody else's tests, I think. Oh, did I adjust the heads? There's some adjustments I need to do on the head, I think. Yeah, so this one, even though the head is dragging behind, needs some adjustment. It's just way too much. This one, I think actually could come down a little bit more. Oh, Vess or Vesper. Gotcha. I have, I did the heads, in a previous stream. I just don't have the ones with the, mask and stuff like that. Thanks, Tuna. Thanks for joining. But yeah, so I'll send this off to people it needs to get to. Hopefully it will be, completed. Obviously there's no rush on the rest of the pipeline. I just think it's really cool that we're going to, be handing it off to a few different people. Like I said, I might stream on Tuesday or Wednesday. And it will either be a test or a cleanup, or maybe I'll just be working on a personal project. Depends on what's ready and what's not. But yeah, thanks for joining, everyone. I hope this was helpful for those of you who are working on the project, and interesting for those of you who are just following the project. All of the socials for the Inverse project are linked in the description, so please go check those out. What else do I have to say? I think that's it. Have a good holiday if you celebrate. If you don't, have a good day in general. And I will see you guys next time.